Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? I am so excited to join you for day 5 of the Fall Gut Health Challenge. This is so exciting for me because I get to share the last part of the piece of the puzzle that you need to be thinking about your gut health today and for many days to come. I know I'm on here a little bit early tonight, but sometimes you have family stuff that you need to do, and I am a mom that works from home, that homeschools her kids, and sometimes we have to make adjustments for the people that matter the most in our lives. So I encourage all of you guys to do the same and try to take time for your family tonight if you can. So that's what I love about Fridays, is that we get to spend time together. And hopefully you get a little bit of relaxation in too, because you don't know how important that is for your overall gut health and your gut function. So let's recap a little bit to start with. From the beginning of the week, we started talking about oral health and how important it is to start from the top down, making sure that your gut microbiome is doing what it needs to do from the top down. You're actually getting that bad bacteria out of there. You're putting good things in there. You're getting your nitric oxide levels up so that you have good saliva going down into the stomach. And then we started talking about the stomach and how important that is to make sure that your acid is as it should be, and that you're setting the stage for when that chyme goes into the small intestine. You reflex the liver, and then the liver knows what it needs to do to detoxify everything and get the bad stuff out of there. And then everything can be absorbed well in that small intestine, and you get out of it what you need. This is huge, because whenever we do this and we think about how important the gut is and how integral it is with all of our systems, we have to appreciate that 90% of our immune system is going to start in the gut, and it is the entryway to the outside. So if those pieces are dysfunctional, then the immune system will be challenged over and over and over again, and the immune system will become dysfunctional. And that's when we see cancer, that's when we see heart disease, that's when we see autoimmune dysfunction. So we want to make sure that the gut is managed well and managed constantly. So just know that this is it's a paradigm. It's a process. It's a journey to manage your health, because you're not a stagnant person. You're a person that goes through all different sorts of life changes as you're growing, as you're aging, and you constantly need to be reassessing and managing what is going on with your gut health so that you're not susceptible to issues. Now, yesterday, I also talked to you about how I need you to take time to go through the gut health questionnaire. Ideally, if you did that, I hope you did, you have a score. And that number is going to tell you a little bit about where your gut health is. Ideally, it would be great if it was a 0, if your score was 0. The closer to 0, the better. If you're in the hundreds, we need some extreme help. But ideally, that's where we want to be. Just know that we don't live in a perfect world. Nobody's gut health is perfect. Nobody's eating perfectly all the time. We're not absorbing nutrients perfectly. We live in a stressed out world. We live in a fallen world. We live in a broken world. We live in a world where we don't get all the nutrients out of our food that we need to. We live in a world where we have a lot of processed foods. We just have to do the best that we can. So if you're not a 0 and you're a perfectionist, it's okay. Don't be worried. but you want it to be as close to zero as you can get it, and you want to improve from where you are. So if you're in the 30s, like, great job, you're doing some really good things, but let's aim for getting in the 20s. What can you do to get yourself in the 20s? If you're in the 20s, let's aim for the teens. So it's just where you are. You have to know what work you need to do. Most days you need to be working on your gut so that you know that it is in check, so it doesn't get away from you or get out of hand. Right now, if you can, pause and set a reminder in your calendar to redo that gut health questionnaire in 30 days and then redo it in 60 days. Mark it in your calendar. Go ahead and print them off. Write the date on it. This is when I'm going to do it, so that you can stay on top of it and make sure that you're progressing in the right direction. If you don't have a goal for your gut, it's not going to happen. You're going to get on a bandwagon for a week and you're probably going to do some really good things, and then you're going to forget. You're going to get wrapped up in life and you're going to be in the same spot that you were in today. So set a goal. Okay, my score is 32. I want it to be 25. Let's see where I am in 30 days. Let's see where I am in 60 days. Am I doing the things that Shelly told me to do from the top down to try to reach that goal? So that is my challenge for you based off what we talked about yesterday. When we talk about all the symptoms that you can have with gut dysfunction, we're talking about lack of energy, brain fog, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, headaches, swelling of your joints, and many, many more. The GI system doesn't mean that you just have constipation, diarrhea, and bloating. You can have extra intestinal symptoms that lie outside of that. Hopefully over the past couple days you've made the connection that that can happen. If you eat something that aggravates your immune system, you can get a headache, and that immune system started in your gut. Hopefully you've realized that. Of all the symptoms that people really complain about, I definitely hear that constipation is a huge, huge, huge problem with a lot of people. So constipation probably looks different than what you think it is. I just want to define what constipation is. If you're only going to the bathroom once a day, if you're only having a bowel movement once a day, you are constipated. Now, I know you've heard, like, once a day is good. Yeah, it's good because you're eliminating. But logically, if you're having 3 good meals a day with whole foods and fiber, then you should be having at least 3 good bowel movements a day. So if you're not having 2 to 3 bowel movements per day, then you are constipated because you're not eliminating things the way that you need to, which means you're backed up. So constipation doesn't just start in the large intestine, it starts from the beginning with the mouth and the stomach, the small intestine, and the liver. All of that has to be in play for good elimination to happen and good bowel movements to happen. The large intestine is where this is happening, where elimination of waste and toxins actually happens. That's where we're getting things out so that we do not have a recirculation of the toxins into our system. If we don't get things out, then we're going to have that. We're going to have this reflux of toxins, and it's going to influence this chronic disease that we're all facing, as well as this huge rise in colon cancer, this huge rise in other autoimmune diseases. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, what do my stools look like? Many of us do not take time to stop and look at our stools. We are so busy, you don't even remember if you went to the bathroom yesterday. But this is part of the problem. Our nervous systems are really ramped up and we don't take the time. So this is your homework. When you go to the bathroom, take a look. And then you can actually put it on an objective scale. The Bristol Stool scale is a scale that's commonly used to rate your stool that healthcare practitioners use, ranging from hard lumps, which would be type 1, separate hard lumps like nuts, like difficult to pass. Type 2 would be sausage shaped but lumpy. And type 3 would be sausage but with cracks on the surface. Type 4 would be smooth, soft sausage, or a snake, which is considered ideal, healthy stool. Type 5 would be soft blobs with clear-cut edges that passes easily. Type 6 would be fluffy pieces with ragged edges or mushy. And type 7 would be watery or entirely liquid with no solid pieces. So for my clients, when I ask you to tell me about your stool and there's these options, it is giving you kind of a rating for how your bowel movements are. And if 9 times out of 10 you're on one end of the scale or the other, I know there's definitely an issue. A lot of times I see people on the type 1 to constipated side. Also, when you're looking at your stools, are your stools healthy in color? Dark brown to light brown is normal. If you have black or bright red or pale gray stools, you might want to dig further and figure out what could be some underlying issues causing this. You don't want to ignore it. Just make sure you take time to do this. You have so much health information right at your fingertips, from your tongue to your stool, that tell you what's going on the inside. There are a lot of reasons that you could be on that constipated end of the scale and not going regularly. And one of the main reasons for this is our nervous system upregulation. We are all just so very stressed out. We're in fight or flight. When you're in fight or flight all the time, you don't get a pool of blood to your intestines. You actually just don't prioritize going to the bathroom because you're just trying to stay alive. So when I say, like, take a deep breath, let's breathe, like, that's not just for mental clarity, that's also to help your body, like, relax, digest your food, and eliminate waste appropriately. So taking a deep breath is huge. The challenge that I'm going to talk to you about today, and the second reason that your bowel movements probably are not optimal, is because of hydration. Hydration, it's so easy. So how do you keep hydrated, and how do you keep water content in your bowel movements so that they can pass easily and be able to eliminate those toxins? The first thing you need to think about is quantity. Most of us just do not drink enough. So if you take your weight and you divide that by 2 and you have that number, then that would be ideally how many ounces that you need to drink per day. Minimally, no matter what your weight is, drink at least 64 ounces per day. So 8-ounce glasses per day. That is still the standing rule. So you have quantity of water, but you also have quality of water, which may be more important than quantity, honestly. The water that we have today is terribly toxic. There are viruses, bacteria, hormones, pesticides, all circulating within our water system. So most people think that's okay, no big deal, or they don't think about it at all. Or you think, I'm drinking bottled water, so I'm not getting that. But just know, bottled water has been sitting in a heated warehouse for who knows how long, and when that happens, you actually get leaching of plastic from that bottled water. So when that has happened, then you are getting some microplastics in your water just from the leaching. So you definitely need to have a good source of water and a lot of water. I think about this with my animals that I take care of here on the farm. Like, I don't just give them dirty water. Like, I try to make sure they have clean water and water that is going to be healthy for them because of how common parasites are and all of that. And it's the same for us. We just don't think about it, being that we don't have particularly clean water. So I get asked, what filtration system do you use then? I think there are a lot of good brands out there, and I've actually just recently read some other reviews on Consumer Labs and Consumer Reports and seen some studies, and I think what it comes down to are three things. You need a filtration system that has a pressed carbon filter. You need a filtration system that has some sort of sterilization process like UV light. And you need a filtration system that has some sort of digital monitoring so you know when to change the filter and the system. Like, filters don't work if you let them get overloaded. Just like your air filter in your house, you have to change it regularly. It's the same with water filters. So if you meet those three criteria, then I think it just really depends on like where you want to go from there. Do I want alkaline water? Do I want hydrogen infused water? There are systems that filter and allow you to have those, and it kind of depends on your budget and what you want to get out of it. I generally don't recommend reverse osmosis because we're just seeing it isn't the best option with how it breaks down the water molecule, and our body really just wants structured H2O. So just think about just not real. I'm not saying stay away from it completely, but we're seeing that it's maybe not as beneficial as we thought it was, just because how it breaks down the water molecules. Just know you have to start somewhere. So think, where can I put some money to get a good filtration system that's going to help me to avoid drinking a ton of toxic water every day? I will put a few examples into the post of some good water sources. I have one that connects to my tap in my house, so where we fill up our big water jugs for sports and all of that. And then I also use my Echo Go. I love this because I can then put my filtered water in here and get hydrogen infused water on the go. So you can see all my little bubbles here. So instead of investing in a heavy system that does the filtration and then also does hydrogen infusion, I have a filtration system on my tap, and then I do a smaller hydrogen infusion there. So there are lots and lots of options. I would say there are also a few very good supplements that you can take to try to bulk up the stool to make sure that it is retaining water, and that the one that I recommend the most is magnesium citrate. So there are lots of types of magnesium. So if you're taking magnesium, you're like, I'm taking magnesium, check what kind you're taking because they all have different functions. Magnesium citrate powder can be good to put in your filtered water to help further support the regularity. Now, if you're having diarrhea and you're on the other end, don't add magnesium citrate in because it's going to make you go. And how you add it in, just know that you don't want to go like full dose on the bottle. You want to just maybe titrate that because people respond differently to that. You don't want to be on the diarrhea end. You want to be within that middle range of that stool testing. So your goal is to have 2 to 3 bowel movements per day, to check on your water quantity, your water quality, and to set yourself a reminder for whenever you are going to redo that gut health questionnaire. Also, I would like to note that I'm going to put a link to a live Q&A session on Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. where you can hop on Zoom and ask me any questions about your gut or the challenge this week. I want to give you the weekend to digest the information, and then I would love to be able to try to answer your questions as generally as I can in that group type setting. So I will put a link in the comments below and in my bio for everyone to access. And hopefully this week you have learned a ton of information that will be helpful for you moving forward on how to really set yourself up for a good, healthy gut from now on. Please know that it has been a joy getting on here and being able to educate you guys. I'm praying for you. I pray that you will just have a breakthrough in your health, a breakthrough with motivation, and just be able to feel better so that you can do the things that God has called you to do here on this earth. Because I know what it feels like to not feel well. And be distracted by the feelings in your body from all that God has called you to do. So I love you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye.